Hey Louise,
Good morning.
I see you've got a Bible,
Yep.
a jar,
Yep.
and your gardening hat.
Yep.
Huh. Oh, and a spade.
Yeah. I've been reading my Bible, and there's so much talk about fishing that I thought I'd go out in the yard in a little while and dig up some worms and go fishing.
Oh.
Got on my Lucky Tiger hoodie. It brought me a lot of success. So that's what I'm going to do when I finish my Bible study.
Okay, okay.
I'm getting a little cabin fever, you know. I've had about enough of the house. And we
Yeah.
have that nice pond down the road, so
Okay.
anyway.
Didn't know you were much of a fisher person.
Well, live and learn, live and learn. But I want to tell you about what I've been studying.
Okay.
You know, we've talked about some of the people that that talked to Jesus after he came back to life again after Easter, and I found another story.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, one day after Jesus has been raised, the disciples decided to go back to what they'd been doing. They'd kind of given up hope, you know. So they weren't, you know. So there was probably some comfort in it, but they went fishing.
They went fishing.
They went fishing. Yeah.
They went back to what they knew.
Yes. Yes. So it was Peter and some of the other disciples. So they went out one night and went fishing.
And I bet they caught a lot of fish.
No.
No, they didn't.
Oh.
I bet they caught a medium amount of fish.
They didn't catch any fish.
No fish?
Zippo.
All night?
Nada. Yeah, not a thing.
Oh,
hmm
I guess they were ready to come in the morning.
Yeah, they fished all night long, and then the next morning they looked over and there was somebody on the shore, and that guy said to them, "Hey, you catch any fish?" They said,
And
"No."
they said,
No. So he said, "Put your nets on the other side."
that's a pretty weird thing to say.
I know. Same Sea of Galilee.
If I were fishing all night and hadn't caught anything, and someone said, put my net on the other side of the boat, I'm not sure I'd be inclined to do that.
Especially if you're a professional fisherman.
Yeah.
So, but they decided they would.
What'd they have to lose?
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to believe this.
What?
They had so many fish, they had a hard time pulling them in.
Really? Really?
Big ones, too. Big fish,
Big
big
fish.
fish. And while they're tugging and tugging, one of the disciples said, "Hey, Peter, guess what? I think that's the Lord over there."
Really?
Who told them to put their net on the other side? Yeah.
They thought it was Jesus.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
So Peter said, "Oh my gracious, I gotta go see him." Peter was a little,
It was a little on the impulsive side,
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
it?
that's a good word. So Peter leaves all of his buddies there to pull all these fish in, and takes off and swims to shore.
How far was that?
Well, the Bible says it was about 100 yards, which is a football field.
Okay.
So he goes over there and he sees Jesus.
He does.
And you know what Jesus is doing?
What is Jesus doing? I bet Jesus is probably preparing a sermon to give to the crowds that day.
Nope.
No. Jesus is praying and meditating.
Nope.
I don't know. What's
Give
Jesus
up?
doing? Yeah.
Jesus has a fire on the beach, and he's cooking fish, and he's got bread. He's making breakfast.
He's making breakfast
Yes.
with fish.
With fish. You know many people that eat fish for breakfast?
The only person I ever knew that ate fish for breakfast was my grandmother, and she would eat fish for breakfast.
Wow. Wow, I don't think I've had fish for breakfast. Bacon maybe, but not fish. Anyway, so Peter's so excited to see him, and Jesus says, "Well, go get some of your fish and we'll cook those too." They had 153 fish in their nets. So,
I wonder how they took the time to count 153 fish.
it's amazing what the Bible tells us, isn't it?
It is.
We have so many questions, and then we find out how many fish they had. It's just crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
So, but anyway, so Peter, by that time, all the disciples and the other fishermen have come up on shore, and Peter goes and gets the fish and takes it and brings it to Jesus, and they sit down and they eat breakfast.
They eat breakfast that Jesus had cooked.
Yes, I don't remember many stories about Jesus cooking.
I remember him feeding people,
Yeah.
like feeding the 5,000 people
Yeah.
and feeding the 4,000 people and feeding the people in the upper room, but I don't remember any stories about him cooking.
I don't either. It's really interesting. But this is a story about him cooking. So he fixes breakfast, and they're sitting around and talking. And guess what he says to Peter?
He tells Peter to clean the fish.
No.
Okay. He tells Peter to get back in the boat and go out and fish
I'll just
some
tell
more.
you. It's all good. I'll tell you. He looks at Peter and he says, Peter, do you love me?
That was an odd question to ask.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm.
And so what did Peter say?
Yes, Lord, you know I love you. And then Jesus said, tend my lambs.
Tend my lambs.
Yeah.
Was he telling Peter to stop fishing and become a shepherd?
I don't think so, because it doesn't stop there. Jesus asked another question.
Okay, what was the question this time?
Peter, do you love me?
That's the same question.
I know. You think he believed Peter at the first time?
I don't know.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
What did Peter say this time?
Peter said, yes, Lord, you know I love you.
Okay, so I guess the story ends there.
No. Jesus says, feed my sheep.
Feed my sheep. Are you sure he doesn't want him to stop fishing and become a shepherd?
I don't think so, because that's not the end.
That's not the end?
Mm-mm. Jesus asked a third question.
What?
Peter, do you love me?
And so what did Peter say?
Well, Peter's a little frustrated. Same question 3 times is really, you just kind of wonder. So Peter said, Lord, you know I love you. And then he says, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep.
I don't get this feed my sheep stuff.
Well, think about it. If we think about Jesus as a shepherd, there are sheep to be taken care of. So Jesus is telling Peter, take care of the believers. Take care of my children. Take care of the people that I love. And tell them about me.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. And he asked him that 3 times, huh? Told him that 3 times.
3 times. 3 times.
That reminds me of something else that happened 3 times with Peter. Yeah, do you remember the night Jesus was betrayed and was on trial and Peter was out by a charcoal fire?
Yeah.
And people came up to him and they asked him if he knew Jesus.
Yeah.
3 people asked him and he said, no, I don't know Jesus.
Bad.
3 times.
Very bad. So why do you think there were 3 there, and now all of a sudden Jesus has asked him 3 times if he loved him?
Well, I don't know, but it's almost like every time Peter said, Lord, you know I love you, it kind of erased that time that he said, Lord, no, I don't know the Lord.
Yeah.
and he said it 3 times. So all of his wrong had been erased, and he was starting with a whole new slate. Maybe that
That's a
could be
great
it.
idea. That's a good thought. I hadn't thought about that. But you know what? I bet Peter was confused, but he knew that he loved Jesus. And Jesus told him what he needed to do.
Wow, that's a good story.
Yeah, yeah. So I've decided that I don't have a net, but I've got a jar. I'm going to go dig up some worms. I got my trusty hat. I got my lucky hoodie. I'm going to go dig up some worms, and then I'm going fishing. You want to go with me?
Um,
Okay, you'll have to.
No.
It's all good. Bye.
Bye.